Okay, good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you for the time given by Ma'am Pasca. And before I start my presentation, let me introduce myself. My name is Kinanti Shiva Pradini. I am from Universitas Negeri Semarang, and I will present my paper about refusal and acceptance strategies used by Javanese students as English foreign language learners at Universitas Negeri Semarang. Okay, my presentation will be divided into 5 parts. The first one is introduction. The first one is general overview, statement of the problem, objective of the significance. The second is methods of investigation, including population and sample, procedure of data collection, procedure of data analysis. And the third is data analysis and findings, including general findings. The fourth is conclusion and suggestion. The last one is question and answer. Okay, let's move to the next slide. Okay, so we know that people are part of community that require to interact and communicate with one another. People always needed a language to communicate. In conversation, we usually find out some of language functions such as stating, requesting, inviting, greeting, and promising. We use the language function in communicating and deliver our meaning to the interlocutor. An utterance that needs an act is called a speech act. In our daily conversation, we often get some over suggestion, invitation, and request. We can accept or refuse the request, over suggestion, or invitation. The way on how someone's refuse in communication is called as refusal strategies. Refusal is the act that shows that one's inability or unwillingness to perform the request for some reasons, whether it is expected sincerely or not. Refusal is sometimes considered to cause communication breakdown, especially for those who come from different cultures, as doing refusal really needs high level of pragmatic competence. Meanwhile, the way of accepting someone's request of offer or suggestion and invitation is called as acceptance strategies. Acceptance strategies are the response or the illocutionary point indicates the speaker's willingness to fulfill the request addressed to him or her. Okay, we go to the next slide. The statement of the problems. The first statement of the problem is that what are the types of refusal strategies used by Javanese EFL students at the English Department of Universitas Negeri Semarang. The second is that what are the types of acceptance strategies used by Javanese EFL learners at the English Department of Universitas Negeri Semarang. And the third one is what are the differences between male and female Javanese refusal and acceptance strategies. So we know that from the statement of the problem, the objective of this study is that to find out and describe various kinds of refusal strategies used by Javanese EFL learners at the English Department of UNES. The second is to find out and describe various kinds of acceptance strategies used by Javanese EFL students at the English Department of UNES. The third is to find out the differences between male and female Javanese EFL students when using refusal and acceptance strategies. We're going to the next slide. The significance of these studies. The first one is theoretical significance. The findings of this research can motivate the students in learning speech acts, especially refusal and acceptance strategies. The second is pedagogical significance, as that can be implemented. Significance. The result of this research can be guidance and information for the people in general to the speech acts in performing conversation. Okay, we move to the methods of the investigation. So I choose the population in this research was the English education program students of Universitas Negeri Semarang, and the sample is 10 males and 10 females Javanese students as English foreign language learners of the English department of Universitas Negeri Semarang at the sixth semester in the academic year 2019 and 2020. Okay, the method and instrument of data collection. So this research was conducted by using a descriptive qualitative research. The main instrument was using the discourse completion test or DCT. The DCT were compiled by adapting theory of Lee et al. Okay, we move to the procedure of data analysis. So the first one is to analyzing DCT or discourse completion test about refusal strategies and acceptance strategies. This stage is taken to know the Javanese learners' refusals and acceptance strategies realization. The second is to categorizing students' answer on DCT using indicators of refusal and acceptance strategies by Aziz. The last step is drawing conclusion. Okay, there are 12 categories of refusal strategies proposed by Aziz. The first one is hesitation and lack of enthusiasm. 2 is over an alternative. 3 is postponement. 4, put the blame on a third party. 5, general acceptance of an over but giving no detail. The 6 is general acceptance with excuse. 7, giving reason and explanation. 8, complaining and criticizing. 9, conditional yes. 10, questioning the justification of a request. 11, threatening. 12 is comments without exemplification. Okay, I'm sorry. So after we know the categories of refusal strategies, we move to the 6 categories of acceptance strategies. The first one is general yes or IFID. Second, expression of solidarity. Third, rhetorical response. 4, acceptance with reservation. 5, non-committal response. The 6th is comments without exemplification. Okay, the data analysis and findings. So, can you see my table here? Yeah. So this is the finding that I found after categorizing the DCT item that I got about 240 responses from male and females. So I got 120 responses from male and 120 responses from female. So we can see that in this table, we got 31 responses from male that categorized into refusal strategies and 38 responses from female participants categorized into refusal strategies. So the total amount of the strategies, refusal strategies that I got from the DCT is 69. Okay, we can see that in doing their refusal, female and male participants are share some similarities because we can see that they do hesitation and lack of enthusiasm over an alternative postponement, and there are some strategies that are not used by the participants. For male participants,
okay, sorry, Kinanti, 2 minutes
yes.
left.
Okay, ma'am.
2 minutes left, yeah.
Okay, ma'am. The most common use strategy used by the male is giving reason and explanation. Meanwhile, the female used over an alternative as the most common use strategy. remove. Yeah, this is the finding from the acceptance strategies. The female used general yes or IFID as their acceptance strategies. So does the male participants. They share some similarities in doing their acceptance strategies. Okay, we come to the conclusion and suggestion. So the conclusion from the research that I did is that from the findings, it can be concluded that male and female participants at Universitas Negeri Semarang shared some similarities in doing their refusal and acceptance strategies. The researcher finds that male students use hesitation and lack of enthusiasm over an alternative. Postponement put the blame on a third party. General acceptance over and over but giving no detail, general acceptance with excuse, giving reason and explanation, and comments without exemplification in doing their refusal. Giving reason and explanation is most common strategy used by male students. Meanwhile, female students use hesitation and lack of enthusiasm over an alternative, postponement, put the blame on a third party, general acceptance of an offer but giving no detail, giving reason and explanation, complaining and criticizing, conditional yes, and questioning the justification of a request. So it can be seen from the findings that female students' refusal strategy is more diverse compared to the realization made by male students. The most common used strategy by female students is giving reason and explanation. Okay, this is the conclusion for the acceptance strategy. So the female and male participants shared similarities in doing their acceptance strategies, especially using general yes or IFID in their refusal. The suggestion for this research. So after did my research about refusal and acceptance strategies, I hope that refusal and acceptance strategies can be one of the topics for the final project in the future. And the second is students have to be able to perform appropriate way in refusing and accepting requests over suggestion and invitation. And the last suggestion for me is that the result of this research can be used as a literature to guide other researchers when they want to do similar research about refusal and acceptance strategies. That's all for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss Kinanti Shifa Pradini, for
Thank
you
you,
know
ma'am.
sharing your findings on like refusal strategy. It's quite interesting to me. I think like you compare between male and female students, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, okay. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, before we go on to the next presenter, so kindly inform you that for those who are interested in asking question, you can type your question on your chat box, yeah, and please write to whom your question is addressed to, okay? And I'm gonna deliver it in the question and answer session, okay? Thank you. And thank you, Miss Kinanti. And now
Thank
we
you, ma'am.
are going to the next presenter, that is Miss Astri Firdayatni. Hello, Miss Astri, are you here?
Hello, ma'am.
Okay, yeah. So can you hear my voice clearly, right? Okay. Yeah, so yeah, in this session, Ms. Asri Firdayani is going to talk about the effectiveness of online dictionary usage for pronunciation mastery at 7th semester students of English Department, Universitas Negeri Semarang. Okay, without further ado, please welcome Ms. Firdayani.
Okay. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for the time. In this occasion, I'd like to present about my research related to the use of online dictionary for pronunciation mastery. But first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Asri Firdayani. And then, okay, without further ado, let's get started. The first part, I have background of study. The reason why I choose this topic, because inappropriate pronunciation which is faced by the students in learning English. So, a few students who still there are a few students who still do mispronunciation, and this mispronunciation
Miss Asri, can you share your screen?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, ma'am.
Okay, yeah, it's clear right now.
Okay. So, the first of all is about background of study. Why the researcher choose this topic? Because inappropriate pronunciation which is faced by the students in English in learning English. So there are a few students who still do mispronunciation. This mispronunciation is caused by some factors such as mother tongue interference, sound system difference, and the inconsistency of English vowel. Like according to Alam 2013, in pronouncing English words, some students face difficulties related to the vowel and consonant system, which are quite different between Indonesian and English. From those problems, it causes the incompetence of students in pronouncing those sounds well. As a result, the students decide to overcome the problem by substituting the difficult sounds with other sounds which are close to them in the place of articulation. And then the second reason, in digital era, electronic device, especially smartphone, are common used in many aspects. One of them in education. Based on the data from kompas.com, from Asosiasi Penyedia Jasa Internet Indonesia, there are around 26% Indonesian user that use internet up to 7 hours in a day. It means that Indonesian always bring smartphone with them almost every day. And because of this reason, the researcher would like to measure the effectiveness of online dictionary usage for pronunciation. And the sample of this research is 7th semester students of English department, because they have taken a few subjects related to the pronunciation. In other words, they have tried a few techniques for their pronunciation. And then the next is about research question. There are two research questions in the study. The first one is, how is the effectiveness of online dictionary usage? And the second one is, how significant does online dictionary affect pronunciation mastery? And for research objective, this research is to find out and provide the empirical evidence related to the effectiveness of online dictionary usage, and then also provide the empirical evidence of the mastery at the same. And then this is the theoretical framework that is used in this research. The researcher refers to Gilakjani 2012 according to features of English pronunciation, and then according to Kelly 2000 about segmental and suprasegmental features, and also electronic dictionary according to Bulusi 2010, and online dictionary refers to Cambridge Learners Dictionary, and the effectiveness of using online dictionary according to Avalia 2013. And then for the research population, this is the details of 7th semester students of English department. For English education, there are 106 female students, and then there are 33 of female students. And for English literature, there are 59 female students, and for male, there are 22 students. And so the total of populations is 220 students. And for the sample, the researcher refers to Gay and Deal 1992 that in descriptive study, the minimum sample standard is 10% from the total population. So the minimum sample is 22 students, but in this research, the researcher has 38 students. And then for research variables, there are two research variables here. For the independent variable, there is online dictionary usage, and for dependent variable, there is pronunciation mastery. And for research design, in this research, the researcher used descriptive quantitative. So the researcher attempts to describe the problem and the phenomenon by explaining the result according to the real situation during the study. And then for method of data collection, to collect the data, the researcher uses questionnaire, and there are 40 statements in form of close-ended statements, and there are 28 items of online dictionary usage, and there are 12 items of pronunciation. And then for type of questionnaire, the researcher uses Likert scale, and there are 5 scales in this questionnaire. So the minimum value is 1, and for the maximum value is 5. And for method of data analysis, there are four methods. The first one is methods of successive interval, and then the second one is reliability test and validity test, and the third is normality test and heteroskedasticity test, and then linearity test, and the last method is hypothesis test. And then this is the method of successive interval. So because in this study, the researcher uses questionnaire in form of Likert scale. So the form of the data is ordinal, but the researcher would like to use simple linear regression. So the requirements of this regression model is the data should be in form of interval. So the researchers should convert the data from ordinal to interval. And this is the result from the 38 respondents.
1 minute left, Miss Astri.
And this is the result of reliability test. Refers to Surwajeni 2014. If the Cronbach alpha value is more than 60, it means the variables is reliable. And both of variables here are reliable. And then this is for validity test. The data will be valid if our quantification value is higher than R table. And for R product moment, the researcher uses R product moment based on Sugiono 2008 with significations 5%. And from the validity test, there are 8 items which are invalid. And then for normality test, the researcher uses based on Safiro-Wilk because the respondent less than 50. So if the significant
I'm sorry,
variable
time is up, Miss Astri. Can you close your presentation?
Thank you. Thanks for the time.
Okay, so thank you for Miss Astri for sharing, an enlightening idea about the effectiveness of online dictionary usage, right? Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now we move to the next presenter, the third presenter. So for those who are interested in asking questions, please leave your questions on the chat box, yeah, or you will wait on the question and answer session, okay? Well, ladies and gentlemen, now please welcome the third presenter, that is Ms. Titin Widyasari. So she is going to talk about the quality of teacher-made tests based on Bloom's revised taxonomy. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ms. Widyasari.
Thank you, Ma'am Pasca.
Okay, Miss Astrid, would you please
Okay.
stop presenting? Okay, thank you.
Okay. So, okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Let's go into the presentation. My name is Titin Widyasari from Universitas Negeri Semarang, and here I'm going to present my research entitled "The Quality of Teacher Methods Based on Bloom's Revised Taxonomy." And there are some agenda in this presentation. The first one is the introduction. The second one is review of related literature. And the third one is method of investigation. And the fourth one is the research findings. And the last one is the conclusions and suggestions. For the first agenda is the introduction. There are two parts. The first one is background of the study, and the second one is the objectives of the study. Okay, for the background of the study, a test is one of many methods and tasks that the teacher can employ to assess students' knowledge and skills. The teacher should make a test that incorporates both lower and higher order thinking skills of Bloom's revised taxonomy, as a test should demand a deep thought to promote critical thinking of the students instead of just merely remembering and understanding. And Bloom's taxonomy is a framework in determining the stages complexity of cognitive processes in educational objective and is used to determine the extent to which assessment procedures such as teacher tests fulfill higher order thinking skills. And it serves as the indicator whether the test is sufficient to measure students' performance and ability. It has been used by many researchers to assess tests such as examination tests, textbook questions, and teacher tests. However, for many studies that have been conducted, it showed that many teachers fail to design tests that include higher order thinking skills of Bloom's revised taxonomy and include all of the cognitive domain of Bloom's revised taxonomy. Therefore, the researcher is trying to continue and improve the previous studies by conducting a research on different subjects. So the researcher decided to analyze the second semester English teacher methods for the 11th grade of SMA Negeri 1 Karanggede. For the objective of the study, there are two objectives. The first one is to find out what is the cognitive levels of Bloom's revised taxonomy in the teacher methods, and the second question is to find out how is the quality of the second semester English teacher methods. Now, for the second agenda is review of related literature. Uh, For the first is the teacher methods. Teachers usually take an assessment or test at the end of teaching learning process, and the test is called teacher methods as the questions or tasks are administered and constructed and scored by one teacher or some teachers to evaluate students' performance, skills, and competencies. And for Bloom's taxonomy, Bloom's taxonomy was developed by Benjamin S. Bloom in 1966 that headed a group of measurement specialists from across US as they wanted to develop a method of classification for thinking behaviors that were considered to be essential in the learning process. There are three domains of Bloom's taxonomy. There are cognitive, affective, and psychomotor. Cognitive domain includes knowledge and the development of intellectual skills. And then in 2001, Laurin Anderson and his group revised the taxonomy. It represents a more active of thinking as the cognitive domain changes from noun to verb. As it can be seen in the figure, the lowest level of knowledge became remembering, comprehension was changed into understanding, while the third and the fourth level remain the same, only change in terms of the form from noun into verb. And finally, the fundamental changes were found in the fifth and sixth levels. Evaluation was in the sixth level, changed into the fifth level, and the old-fashioned synthesis has been skipped as the standard had been raised to the sixth level. It replaced with creating. And here are the category of its cognitive levels of Bloom's taxonomy. Remembering level has two categories. The first one is recognizing and the second one is recalling. And then understanding has 7 categories. They are interpreting, exemplifying, classifying, summarizing, inferring, comparing, and explaining. And the applying level has 2 categories, executing and implementing. And the third level has three categories: differentiating, organizing, and attributing. And the fifth level, evaluating, has two categories: checking and critiquing. And the last level, creating, has three categories: generating, planning, and producing. Okay, for the methods of investigation, there are research designs, sorry, subject of the study, and the steps of the data analysis. For the research design, this study used a qualitative research design with a descriptive method, and according to Call et al. 2007 and Creswell 2012, in the qualitative research, the researcher tries to describe and conceptualize a phenomenon within the study by analyzing it. And descriptive research often requires reporting the characteristic of one object at one point in time, and it can yield valuable information. So the researcher used a descriptive method as the data was analyzed and the results were presented in the form of description. And for the object of the study, the researcher used the second semester English teacher methods for the 11th grade of SMA Negeri 1 Karanggede. Okay, for the next slide. Is the steps of data analysis. So the researcher made a table to analyze each test items. The table was used to analyze each items by putting the items into the table. After that, the researcher analyzed and categorized the test items into each cognitive levels of Bloom's revised taxonomy, and then calculated the numbers and percentages of test items at every levels. The researchers also analyzed the test based on the K13 curriculum assessment guideline to know whether the teacher met the test following the guideline in the K13 curriculum assessment guideline. Okay, and the next is the findings and discussion. So it can be seen in the PPT. For the result of the analysis based on the Bloom's revised taxonomy, there are 15 items in the remembering level, and it all categorized into recalling category. And there are 20 test items of understanding, and from 7 categories, 1 test items belongs to interpreting, 6 test items belong to summarizing, and 13 test items belong to inferring. And then for the analyzing level, there are 4 test items, and from 3 categories, 1 test item belongs to differentiating, and 3 test items belong to organizing. And the last is there are 1 test item in the evaluating level of critiquing category, while the applying and creating level were not found in the teacher methods. Okay, according to the curriculum assessment guidelines, the teacher have already followed the K13 curriculum assessment guidelines in making the test, but there are some lags in some points, such as the teacher did not review the test items before it is tested, and some of the test items did not match with the test items indicators in the test guidelines. Okay, so the teacher, sorry.
Okay, 2 minutes left, Miss Titin.
Sorry, ma'am, how minutes?
2 minutes.
Okay,
2 minutes.
so the results showed that the teacher made test does an appreciable job in promoting knowledge and understanding, but not much promoting critical thinking and learning. And based on the results of the analysis, the teacher had already included higher order level cognitive skills in the test, but the percentage of high level cognitive skills are far too low compared to the lower level cognitive skills. And also the teacher made the test guideline along with the teacher made test, but according to the analysis, it was found that the level of cognitive of 10 test items in the guideline are the same with the cognitive level from the analysis, while the level of cognitive of 13 sorry for of 13 test items are not the same with the analysis. And also, according the teacher made the test with the test guideline, key answers, and the score for each items. According to the K13 curriculum, this teacher made test is a test by the educator or the teacher and measure only the knowledge aspect. This test was administered in the midterm, so it is a summative test. The test is in the form of written test, and there are 40 test items of multiple choice. The teacher had already following the steps to arrange written tests, written tests that are setting the objective, arranging the test guideline, writing the test items based on the test guideline, and reviewing the test. But the teacher did not reviewing the test items before it was tested. And also the test item in the test did not match with the test items indicators in the test guideline. So for the conclusion, uh, regarding to the results of the study, it can be concluded that the test covers only 4 levels of 6 levels of the cognitive domain that are remembering level, understanding level, analyzing level, evaluating level, while the applying and creating levels are absent from the test. And also, the teacher made the test based on the K13 curriculum assessment guidelines. However, in the steps of making the written test, the teacher did not reviewing the test items before it was tested to the students. And also, the implementation of the test items indicators in the guideline also did not match with some of the test items in the test. Uh, so, the researcher provide some suggestions. The first one is the test constructors and teachers should really know and aware of the importance of Bloom's revised taxonomy in teaching and learning process. Furthermore, they should consider Bloom's taxonomy as a guidance to construct a good test. And also, the second is test constructors and teachers are suggested to include all of the cognitive levels of Bloom's taxonomy in the test, and the appearance of all cognitive levels should be balanced between lower order thinking skills and higher order thinking skills. And the last is teachers should refer to the K13 curriculum and the syllabus in designing test items so that the items are relevant to the educators in the syllabus and appropriate for the students. Okay, that's all for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Miss Titin, for a nice sharing on the the quality of teacher made tests. Yeah, so I guess I agree with you. Like it's always been a problem
Yeah.
for the teachers, like to make the hot one, right? Okay. So, well, ladies and gentlemen, before we go on to the next presenter, for those who are interested in asking question, please leave your question on the chat box or prepare the questions right now to be delivered in the question and answer session later. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to have the last presenter on this session. That is Miss Glendia Fiska. Miss Glendia, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So Miss Glendia is going to talk about the analysis of the integration of 21st century skills into the teacher's lesson plan. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Miss Fiska.
Okay, thank you for the opportunity. Let's, okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me. My name is Glendia Fiska. Here, I would like to present about my paper. And the title is An Analysis of the Integration of the 21st Century Skills into the Teacher's Lesson Plan. But before I start the presentation, actually this is my research on my final project that will be tested for 2 weeks later. So I need you to give your suggestion on my final project improvement. Thank you. And so let's get started. The lesson plan is an important document that the teacher have to prepare before they teach the student in the classroom. And the lesson plan is the guidelines or the representation on how the teacher will teach the student in good and fun classroom management system to achieve the students' learning outcomes. And then in this modern and globalization era, the teachers and students should prepare for industrial revolution era 4.0 for more complex life and work environment in the 21st century and for the better future. And so that's why this research using a framework from partnership 21st century skills in 2009 and how the teachers integrate the 21st century skills. And this research has three research questions. First, how do pre-service teachers integrate the 21st century skills into the lesson plan, and how do novice teachers integrate the 21st century skills into the lesson
Okay,
plan?
sorry for interrupting, Miss Visca. Would you please start sharing your screen?
Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. Okay,
It's
wait a
okay.
moment. Okay, it's clear, ma'am.
Yes, got it.
Okay, thank you. And then the third question is, how do experienced teachers integrate the 21st century skills into the teacher's lesson plan? And this is for the purpose of the study is to explain how pre-service teachers, novice teachers, and experienced teachers integrate the 21st century skills into the lesson plan. And this is for the theoretical framework that the researcher analyzed the components of the lesson plan, referring to the 2013 curriculum, that the 2013 curriculum is the curriculum that emphasized the educators' education that described by Kemendiknas in 2010. And it means that the 2013 curriculum must be implemented in the lesson plan as a system or learning approach and applying scientific discipline to provide the students with the experiences. And that's why the characters education is must be applied through the 21st century, the 21st century skills, and those skills must be applied in each the components of the lesson plan. And for this research, using theory from Miles and Huberman in 1994, with pay attention from the regulation of the Minister of Education and Cultural number 22, year 2016, and for the 21st century skills based on partnership for 21st century skills 2009. And this is for the research design. The researcher employed a qualitative descriptive approach that the qualitative research is focuses on understanding social phenomenon in natural setting in the form of the word, picture, and or object. It means that the qualitative research presented to describe or to get the information about the current condition or certain objects. And then this research will be analyzed and described using the content of the analysis checklist. And this is for the object of the study. The researcher conduct this research to analyze 12 lesson plans from 6 teachers that involves 3 types teachers that are 2 pre-service teachers, 2 novice teachers, and 2 experienced teachers that those teachers are an English teachers from senior vocational high school. And next about the collecting of the data, the researcher conducting this research through the document review with the 12 lesson plans that will be analyzed using the content analysis checklist and using a research instrument through the questionnaire that using a Likert 5 scale, which consists of 30 types questionnaire that provided from the researcher. And this is for the analyzing the data. The researcher using Miles and Huberman theory in 1994 that there are steps to analyzing the data. For the first one is data reduction. Data reduction is the process of selecting, focusing, simplifying, abstracting, looking at the themes and patterns, and also discarding the unnecessary that stated from the Miles and Huberman and Saldana 2014. It means that the data will be selected and identified for having valuable information for this research. And the researcher will resume that the documents of the lesson plans, and the researcher classifies and resume the findings of the completeness of the lesson plan one by one into the table. And then the researcher also resume and classifies the integration of the 21st century skills into each components of the teacher's lesson plan before describing into the description text. And then this is for the example of the integration of 21st century skills, as you can see in the PowerPoint. And next is about the data display. It means that the data display is to help the researcher to make a deep understanding of the data. It means that the data will be described one by one into the form of description text, and it shows about the findings and discussion on how the teachers integrate the 21st century skills into those components of the lesson plan. And the last one is the conclusion. And this is for the findings that completed two
Okay, Miss
steps.
Fiska, 2 minutes
Yes.
left. Yeah.
Oh, okay, ma'am. From the completed lesson plan and integration of 21st century skills. And for the completed lesson plan, pre-service teachers, um, for the teachers one is completed arrange the components of the lesson plan, but teachers two has one uncompleted arrange the components of the lesson plan. But for the novice teachers and experienced teachers, are completed arrange the components of the lesson plans. And this is for the integration of the 21st century skills for the pre-service teachers. Um, Critical thinking has integrated in the competence achievement, learning material, method, and activities. And for the collaboration, the teachers has integrated in the learning method and activities. And for the creativity skills, the teachers has integrated in the indicator competence achievement, learning material, and activities. And for the communication, integrated in the learning activities. And for the last is the literacy skills, has integrated in the learning media, sources, and learning activities. And for the novice teachers, the critical thinking has integrated in the indicator competence achievement, learning material, method, and activities. And for the collaboration, integrated in the learning method and activities. And for the communication, integrated in the competence achievement, learning material, and activities. And for the creativity, integrated in the learning activities, and the literacy skills integrated in the indicator competence achievement, learning media, sources, and activities. And for the last one, experienced teachers, critical thinking has integrated in the indicator competence achievement, learning material, method, and activities. And for the communication, has integrated in the indicator competence achievement and learning activities. And for the collaboration and creativity skills, have integrated in the learning activities. And for the literacy skills, integrated in the learning media, sources, and activities. And for the conclusion of this presentation, the teachers are able to integrate the 21st century skills that from the comparison between the pre-service teachers, novice teachers, and experienced teachers. There is a novice teachers, which the teachers 3 and teachers 4 mostly dominant integrated the 21st century skills into their lesson plan. And the teachers 3 only mentioned the label, the integration of the lesson plan in only one lesson plan. And for the teachers 4, only integrated the critical thinking, collaboration, and literacy skills in their lesson plan. And then the integration of the 21st century skills into the lesson plan mostly is applied in the learning activities. And all of them, for the knowledge of the understanding the 20th century skills by
I
the
messed up, Miss Fiska. I'm sorry.
okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Miss Fiska, for sharing. Like, that the skills that the teachers must acquire. Yeah. So 21st century skill set. This is really hard for teachers, and might be the challenges for
Yeah.
teachers right now. Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think all presenters have finished presenting their papers. Now it's time for the question and answer session. First of all, thank you for presenting very well for all presenters. So I appreciate that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, for asking question, you may have the feature of raise hand on your menu. Okay, you can start raising your hand right now because I didn't find any of questions in the chat box. Okay, well, ladies and gentlemen, you can have raise hands. Ada menunya nggak di situ ya?
Ada, ma'am.
Okay, you can start. Come on. We still have about 8 minutes. Want to ask questions? Okay, so if not, then you let me start asking questions. So I'm really, um, interested in Kinanti's presentation. Like, you're comparing female and male, right? Yeah. So my question is, what is your considerations of differentiating the participants into male and female? Is there um, a reasonable considerations?
Okay. So I found that some researchers from the other researcher uh, conduct a study about refusal, but they are only uh, what is it? Mm, compare between male and female, but only at the suatu ini, ma'am.
Sorry, I cannot hear you, Kinanti.
Check.
Okay, would you please repeat your answer?
Okay. So, the consideration for me for choosing male and female, I want to know that what is the differences between male and female when they do their refusal and acceptance strategies. For example, from the findings, I found that from the responses that I got from the DCT, male participants are more like direct. Meanwhile, female participants are likely more like they give reasons and explanation after they refuse or accept the suggestion or invitation from their interlocutor. Like that, ma'am.
Okay, so like if a female, tend to have like more agak basa-basi gitu ya. So
Yes,
instead of, like male, so male is more direct on their speech, right?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
I think we had got a question on the chat box from Miss Ervina Julie Ariani. I would like to ask a question about refusal and acceptance strategy. So I think this is addressed to Miss Kinanti. Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So the question is, what does the most common refusal and acceptance strategy used by male and female might indicate? Yes, please, Miss Kinanti.
Okay. So, uh, yeah. This is related to the title that I choose, why I choose Javanese students. As we know that Javanese students are more likely more polite to other people. So when I want to know, I conduct this research, I want to know what kind of refusal and strategies and how if they refuse, are they going to direct refuse the invitation, suggestion, offer, or they will give other explanation. So from the findings, I can conclude that so we know that the most common use strategy used by male and female is, I'm sorry. So the male participant used giving reason and explanation, meanwhile female participant in doing their refusal strategy used over an alternative. So it shows that as Javanese students, Javanese people, we are likely more polite to people when refuse, something like that. Do I answer your question?
Miss Arvina? Miss Arvina? Hello, Miss Arvina? Does Miss Kinanti answer your question?
Yes, thank you very much. It does answer my question.
Okay, do you have an additional questions, Miss Arvina, maybe
I think
to other presenters?
no, not yet.
Okay, thank you, Miss
Thank you,
Arvina and Miss
ma'am, for the
Kinanti for,
chance.
for a comprehensive answer. Okay, so I still have one question. Like, can I offer a question to anyone? To anyone? Could you please raise hands to ask questions? Okay, if not, then will be my turn again. Yeah. So I'm wondering of Miss Titin's sharing of the quality of teacher make test. So what are your participants like? Are they the teachers of junior high school or senior
Senior
high
high
school?
school, ma'am.
Senior high school, yeah. So how many participants do you
So
have?
actually, it was just one teacher made test. One
Sorry?
teacher made test.
Yeah, I mean, how many
One
teachers
or
involved in
only
that
one.
research? Oh, only one? Okay, so yeah, I think it's really interesting to look at. Yeah, if maybe you have more teachers, more tasks for other various
Okay.
teachers. Okay, so that will, give you a lot of
Yes.
perspectives. So not only just one teacher.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So is this your research?
Yeah.
Okay, and you're going to conduct it, or you have
I
finished?
have finished it.
Okay, okay. Okay, yeah, I think that's all,
Yeah.
everybody. Thank
Thank you,
you, Miss Titin.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you,
Thank you very
everybody.
much.
I think, yeah, we're getting close to the end of our time together today in this
Yeah.
session. We have ended our question and answer session. Thank you for attending the parallel session one, and we really do appreciate your interest in this very important issue. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we will have a break about 15 minutes. So you are required to come back at 1 because you're going to have a plenary session with Dr. Pergeshe. And please do not leave the room. Yeah, please leave the breakout room and please go back to the main room. Okay,
Okay,
just switch off your video during a break. Okay.
okay, ma'am.
Well, okay. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. It's really nice presentation and discussion about your research project. So thank you, everyone. You can leave the breakout room to the main room, and you will have a break in 50 minutes, and you're required to come back at 1 to join the plenary session. Okay? Thank you, and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, ma'am.